Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are officially live and I'm so excited to have you all with me. If you're joining us now, feel free to come on in, get situated, grab some water, grab a notepad, whatever you need. This is going to be a really valuable session for you, jam-packed with lots of great content. Usually I like to give a couple of minutes at the top of the hour just to let folks come in. Usually people are hopping off of another meeting or trying to get situated. While I do that, I'd love to get our fingers warmed up because there will be some engagement in today's session. I want to hear from you in the session. Feel free to use the chat box. We're going to launch some polls as well throughout today's webinar. First things first, if you want to go ahead and click on that chat box, let me know where you're dialing in from. And I'm going to go ahead and click it on my end as well. So we got some New Jersey folks. I'm in North Carolina today. Usually I'm dialing in from Tampa, Florida, but we're having a crazy hurricane right now. So I left yesterday. I drove 9 hours to come up to North Carolina. I have a wedding to be in 2 days in Pittsburgh. So kind of had to get displaced a little bit, but that is what it's like to live in Florida. It looks like, Mark, you're in Ocala. We got some New York. We got a lot of PA. So cool. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Denver, Corey, I just moved from Denver. I used to live in Denver. I had a great time, but I was ready for a change. So I moved to Tampa. And Steven's in Pittsburgh, and that's where I'm headed. So after this webinar, I'm driving the next 9 hours, and I'm headed up to Pittsburgh. Okay, so thank you again for being here. I think it's 3 minutes past the hour. Let's go ahead and kick off because we do have a lot of really great content in store for you today. And I'm going to do my best to coordinate between what you're saying in the chat and the slide content that I'm presenting. If I, for any reason, come off that I'm ignoring you, it's just because I'm so focused in on my slides, but I will get back to the chat every now and then. And as mentioned, I'm going to launch a couple of polls as well. So we're going to do that here in just a moment. Now, what is the title of this webinar? Why are you here? Why did you come? Let me go ahead and do this full screen. All right, there we go. You should be able to see me. The title of this webinar is 5 Marketing Tactics to Promote Estate Planning. Now, we are so excited to share this content with you, specifically because you've probably heard, especially in the last year or so, that estate planning is really important for advisors to start incorporating into their service model, into your conversations with clients. And it absolutely is. And I've got some data I want to share with you. But it's also uber important that when you have a service, you actually let people know it exists. And that is so key in order to have any success in any business. It doesn't matter how amazing your service or your product is. And I've teamed up with Trust and Will, who is a leader in the estate planning technology space, supporting so many advisors in this space with estate planning to bring you this content. I'm super excited about it. And if you don't know who I am or we haven't connected before, my entire background is in advisor marketing. I've spent the last 8 years in technology in this space, helping advisors grow strategically, not just directly with marketing, but also other areas of your business, technology, as I mentioned, M&A, recruiting, succession planning, all the good things that I think are really important in order to run a successful business. So I've teamed up with Trust and Will because I believe in what Trust and Will is doing. And together, I think we're going to have a lot of fun in this relationship, bringing you more content like this. So 5 marketing tactics to promote estate planning. We're going to start with this. Why is this important? Why are we having this conversation to begin with? Then we'll jump into those 5 marketing tactics. We'll also look at how to track success. And then we're going to open it up for a live Q&A. And I'm going to invite our general manager of advisors, Andres, onto the webinar to help support the live Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please do drop them in the chat. This session is also being recorded, and at the end of the session, I'm going to give you a way to book a one-on-one strategy demo with our team, and I'm also going to make sure you have a link to the slides, so you'll have all the content that I'm prepared for you today. You'll have to start using in your business or mirroring or you getting inspo from any way that you like. So just make sure you stick to the end because we will have that live Q&A, and you're going to get the resources here. Okay, so why estate planning? Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? Why are financial advisors being told you should start marketing estate planning? Historically, right, that's probably been something you've just outsourced to an attorney in your area, or you really haven't put a lot of time and effort in. And there's some this means your client always passing on, and they have to leave their assets and their legacies, and they end up in these complicated legal battles, legal processes, and nobody wants to do that, right? So you're at the heart, as financial advisors, you're at the heart and center of their financial well-being. So I think this is important to consider. Not only that, more than 68% of US adults don't even have a basic will. Guys, this is a big deal. And this isn't just adults without wealth, or, if you're not considering the mass affluent or the high net worth, ultra high net worth. This is across the board. There's a few reasons for it. Again, you're going to get these slides at the end of the conversation today. So I'd love for you to go through and read them, but there's a lot of lack of education out there, first and foremost. Obviously, going the attorney route is expensive, and not everybody actually needs to go the attorney route. And accessibility, procrastination, and in my humble opinion, because as an advisor, if you're not putting estate planning into that overall picture with your clients, then again, like we're missing people here. We're missing some of our investors, Americans, really, to be able to get a plan in place. Next, this is very important data here. This was actually a study done by McKinsey back in 2023. It actually started in 2018. And what we've seen along the way is that there's been a 60% increase in people saying, I want more holistic advice from my advisor just since 2018. And that is, if you look at the bottom graphic here over on the bottom right, you can see most of what they need, what they're going to find most valuable from their wealth providers, from their wealth managers, their financial planners, financial advisors, if you're helping them with their portfolio, with their wealth, with their plans, is legal services. This is inclusive of estate planning. There's another stat, I didn't include it here. I'm going to say it briefly and we'll move along. And that is the Spectrum Group did a survey in 2022. So this has probably changed a little bit, but we're still pretty close. 93% of respondents, these are investors of all wealth levels, said that they want to work with their advisor on their estate plan. And yet only 22% of advisors in the study said they're even offering that type of service. That's a really big gap. And so when there's a gap, there's always an opportunity. This is what gets me excited, because usually with any great marketing strategy, you want to focus on where that gap is, because that's where the demand is. People need your help. So big gaps equal big opportunities. You can undoubtedly, when you start talking about estate planning with your clients, you're going to uncover more assets. Nobody's leaving anything off the table with their estate when it comes to estate planning, right? Unlike other conversations where maybe they only want you to manage an account here or there, and they're kind of just dipping their toes in the water, or they have assets elsewhere they don't tell you about. That's not really happening here. So you're going to uncover more assets. You can go deeper with your clients and with the relationships with the next generation, because they're also almost always a part of this conversation. Now, I'm going to launch my first poll, and just bear with me here because I'm going to figure out how to do this with multiple screens going on. But what I want to know in this poll is, do you currently offer estate planning in your business? And if so, are you marketing it? So let me come back here to Livestorm, and that's what we use to stream this. And I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll for you. So you should go ahead and see this up on the screen. If you don't, let me know in the chat. Go ahead and drop a comment for me. Let me know for any reason if you can't see it. I'm going to go ahead and submit my vote, and you should, yeah, okay, I can see that here. All right, so it looks like some of you are still coming in and voting, and perhaps you can still vote. If you can't, let me know. Okay, just looking through the chat here. Wonderful. We're getting some more votes in. So I'm not sure if I have a way of publishing this poll back to you, but I will share with you because I think it's important you know what you and your peers are doing. So the majority of you, 59%, I should be specific, say yes, you are offering estate planning, but I'm not really marketing it. Some of you, around 24%, say yes, and I'm marketing, so good job. Hopefully you'll get some inspo today regardless. 13% of you say no, I don't offer it and I'm not marketing it. and then only 1% said NA, and I think I was that one person. So this is good to see. This helps me understand where you guys are all at in your estate planning service and how you market it to make the rest of the webinar as impactful as possible. Okay, so we're gonna pop back over here to our deck. I think someone mentioned I was frozen a moment ago, so please let me know again in the chat if you're not seeing me move through the slides for any reason. That would be really, really helpful to me. I wanna make sure you see the content in action. Okay, so we are good now. All right, wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and resume with the content here. So after this poll slide, now we're going to get into the 5 marketing tactics to promote estate planning. And before I actually get into that first one, I'm just going to pop back over, make sure I'm not frozen yet. So you should be able to see the 5 marketing tactics, to promote estate planning. Perfect. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the first one. Now, in each one of these tactics, everyone, my goal is to share the tactic with you. These are strategies you can use, but also to share a few little tips along the way. And then we've got content samples for you. With these samples, you can use them. I've written some scripts for you. We've got some email templates for you, but also you can just take them and use them as inspiration. So you should be able to see tactic number 1, which is educate prospects and clients on social media. Here's the thing. Educating on the inevitable will elevate your business. Hands down. I'm going to say that again. Educating on the inevitable will elevate your business. Social media is one of the best places to position yourself as that educator. And as you do this, you can think about a few things. Number 1, simplify, right? You just want to focus on the basics. Yes, there is a line that you should draw when thinking about what type of legal content you're putting out there, right? If you're not an actual estate planning attorney, but there's nothing that says you can't just focus on the educational basics of estate planning. What is a will versus a trust, right? Maybe there's some common misconceptions out there. If I'm under the age of 40, do I need a will? These are all things that you can talk about. We're going to tailor your message. If you're targeting business owners, guys, LinkedIn is the place to be with your social content, right? I run a B2B business. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. But if you're targeting millennials, for example, who also, yes, do need estate plans, then you should be on Instagram, right? So understanding where you should be and how you should tailor your message. Facebook is going to be mostly the boomer generation. You can find this stuff widely on Google. I was going to include a graphic here, but I thought this is so widely available. Just Google it. You'll see different graphics out there. Always brand your content. Look, it doesn't have to be perfectly branded to your company. I like to have fun with colors and graphics and typography. I think that's more important than actually ever having a perfect brand. But another way to brand your content is just by including you. You are your brand. So make sure you always include yourself. Add photos of your family, add photos of you. This is key. And I'm going to show you an example of that here in a second. And then finally, just be engaging, right? We have a rich library of estate planning content that we give to our advisors. You can use it as is. You can add your own message. But just remember, the takeaway with social media is that it is a place for education. It is not a place just to put announcements all the time. It is a place to educate, and that is what leads to the engagement. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause here, pop back over, just make sure you're still seeing my slide. Beautiful. And we're going to go to the next example here. So, in fact, I'm going to do this just to make sure. All right, now at Trust and Will, when you get started with us, something we do is we give you some social content right away. It's part of our branding toolkit. Every single advisor gets one. If you really integrate with us on our new pricing model, which is a flat fee subscription model, seat-based pricing, then we give you even more. But everyone's getting this when you work with Trust and Will. So you could add your logo or you could just use it as is, but you have to essentially introduce the fact that your firm has started doing estate planning. And here's how you're doing it. Whether you use Trust and Will or not, whether you decide you want to lean into the technology side of this, which I highly encourage because it's a scalable way and you have a lot more oversight into the process as the advisor, or maybe you don't want to go that route. You just want to work with your attorney friends, and that's okay too. But you should think about always making some sort of announcement on social media. Now, this next slide here is a video of Trust and Will's Instagram, which is such a good Instagram. In fact, I know we've got some Trust and Will folks on the call. If you want to drop the link to the Instagram in the chat for our audience, that would be greatly appreciated right now. But I'm going to show you a quick video that hits a lot of the points I said a minute ago. Hopefully you can hear it. If you can't, that's okay too. All right, so this is the Trust and Will Instagram page, chock full of educational content and fun, lots of video, lots of different sliders. We really do a good job here of just breaking down the content, keeping it educational. And this is our CEO. I love that. And then it kind of turns into this slider going through, different questions, right? When should you update your estate plan? Did you have a kid? Did you make a move? Did you get married? So these are all really easy and simple ways to make the content engaging, pull yourself into it, your brand. He brought his baby in the video, and make it educational at the same time. Okay, so next slide here is another example of what you call a scroller. You've probably seen some of these on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I really love these. The algorithms really love these as well, guys. So if you're thinking, I don't really ever get a lot of good engagement with my social content, well, maybe you need to, really play by the algorithms rules a little bit more. And so this one here is a scroller, and the topic is what's even in a trust. So you have some easy, like accessible information here. I can kind of just see. And then I'm moving along here and it just shares with you. And I'm going to maximize this just to be sure, but gives you full control over how your assets are managed and distributed, effective immediately. Next slide. Outlines your wishes for your belongings, kids, guardianship, and funeral, effective only after you're gone. Details your assets, such as personal items, real estate, investments, debt, and their values. Again, so you sort of go through this content here and you get to the end and it's like, hey, if you still made it this far, you probably have more questions about trust. And in our case, we're leading them back to our page. But in your case, lead them to have a meeting with you or message you, send us the DM, whatever that looks like. There should always be some sort of action call there. Okay, so again, with social media, we're focusing on education. Use this content in whatever way you want. Make your own versions, make it to your own brand, however you'd like. And again, we have a lot of good inspo on the Trust and Will Instagram page. Okay, we're going to move over to tactic 2. I'm going to quickly check the chat here. Looks good. I don't think you guys could hear the video. I'm sorry about that, but that's okay because we have the link and you can go check it out. Thank you, team. You are awesome. Okay, so on this next tactic, and let's see if you can see this here. There we go. Tactic number 2 is to humanize your offer with video. Here's the thing about the topic of estate planning. It's a very emotional topic, right? And for some, it feels a little bit taboo, but the fact that it is so emotional makes it the perfect type of content to use video for. You may not feel very comfortable with video. That's okay. But I encourage you to try it. And if it's not you, it's somebody else in your office. It doesn't always have to be you, but it could be somebody in your office. So I always say that video is a good way to humanize your content. Really, because it's you on video, right? It's you, you're the human. And it's also a way for you to show and not just tell that you really care about this topic. People can see your face, they can feel your energy just like you can see me right now. Hopefully I'm not frozen. And then the next one is to really educate. So again, everything here is about education, guys. That is how you need to lead your marketing, and that will always lead people back to you. Give it away for free, it'll bring them right back to you. Your video should be short in length, under 2 minutes, always educational. I'm going to give you a script here in a second. And then you want to move people no matter what you're doing. But in this video example, you're going to have some urgency built up and what we call in marketing a call to action. If you don't know what that is, and I was actually surprised when I asked a room of advisors not too long ago when I was presenting at a conference on this topic, who understands what a call to action is? Not many people raise their hands. And I thought, man, I'm over here just telling you, use a call to action. But I have to remember, you're not necessarily marketers, and I'm certainly not a financial advisor. This is where we learn from one another and where we support one another. But a call to action is basically, something that you're saying to lead people to do the next thing, whether that's book a time with you or come to your office or sign up for your email list, whatever that looks like. Okay, and then lastly is filming. So I'm in the local library right now. I told you guys I was displaced. I had to come to North Carolina. My mom lives in the middle of the mountains. Her internet is terrible, but I was able to get a room at a library, hence the beautiful background that I have here. If I had a window, I would make sure that if the window was here, it would be in front of me. If you're using an iPhone, always record horizontally. You don't need expensive camera gear to make an awesome video. And when you do record horizontally, make sure that window is directly in front of you. This is going to give you the best quality lighting, stage level lighting without actually needing stage lights. So that's important. And then when you do actually record, make sure you choose the cinematic version. If you're on an iPhone, when you go to video, go one more tab over and there's a cinematic option. And then if you don't have an iPhone, you have an Android, I'm almost positive they've also introduced some sort of like higher quality level video. So just make sure you're always filming it cinematic 4K, go to your iPhone settings. If you don't know how to do that, Google it. But those are just a few quick tips on how to really crush it with video. Now, if I were an advisor, I would have a page on my website, sort of an educational hub where I educate on estate planning, and I'd have a big video up top. And this would be something that I would say. I'm not going to read this word for word, but this is your script I'm giving you. Hi, I'm Diana, and I'm here to talk about something that is often overlooked, but incredibly important: estate planning. You might be wondering, why would I need to think about estate planning? Well, let me explain. Estate planning is not just about what happens after you're gone. It's about making sure your loved ones are taken care of, your wishes are honored, and your assets are protected. It's about creating peace of mind, right? And so then I'll kind of go through the rest of the script. And at the very end, I've bolded two things here for you guys. I've bolded the urgency and I've bolded the call to action. So the urgency is, remember, it's never too early or too late to plan for the future. And the call to action is, give us a call to schedule your free estate planning clarity visit today. What is an estate planning clarity visit? Well, instead of saying, book a meeting with me, you're giving them a little bit something more tangible, because immediately my curiosity is evoked. That's what we want, right? And I'm saying, well, what is this estate planning clarity visit? Design it however you want. It could be just sitting down with them and talking to them about their estate plan, about what they have in place or maybe what they don't have in place. It could be when you introduce trust and will, when you give them our guides and checklists, because we give you all of that as well to make the process easy. Whatever it looks like, it's so much better than saying, come meet with me. It's instead saying, here, this is what you're going to get in return: clarity on your estate plan. I've also linked my favorite iPhone teleprompter app. Yes, you can have a teleprompter on your iPhone and you can make it really, really simple. If you want more advanced gear, I have links for that too. Just let us know. Reply back to the email we'll send you after this webinar with the follow-up, and I'm happy to send you some links there. Now, since you can't hear this video, I'm just going to skip it for now, but there is another video example in this slide deck that I highly encourage you to take a look at. It's a really, really good one. It's from Molly on our team. She's fantastic. And it's just another example of how to talk about estate planning and educate in a fun and engaging way using video. Okay, so we're going to move to the next tip here. I'm going to quickly come back and check this chat out. Just make sure you guys don't have any other questions. Awesome. Remember, we're going to have a live Q&A at the end, and I'm going to give you a way to book your one-on-one strategy demo with our team. So do stick around if you can. But we're going to move to tactic number 3. Tactic number 3 is email. Get conversational with email. Here's the thing about email. It is still one of the best performing channels when it comes to marketing and talking with your clients and communicating and generating leads and generating engagement. Still one of the best. If you're not doing something intentionally and actively today to grow your email list, you are doing yourself a disservice. I will be honest with you. So maybe that looks like you have some sort of banner on your website that says to subscribe to your newsletter. And if you're not doing a newsletter, because that sounds overwhelming for you, I get it, then maybe it's just a 4-part email series that you set up in your CRM or whatever marketing tool that you use. And that's what you advertise. Sign up for my 4-week estate planning series on why this is important and why every single American, no matter your level of wealth, needs to pay attention to this, right? So whatever it is, I highly encourage you, collect emails. When it comes to actually doing this is all about being conversational. Emails should be a 2-way street. It's not just a big broadcast channel where nobody's going to respond. So how do you foster that? Well, first, Your emails are going to be personal. They're going to be educational, of course. Your emails will go further if your lists are segmented. You know who you're talking to. You can maybe tweak a sentence or two, but just simplify. Here's the thing that I've seen as a marketer. Some of the best marketing email turnouts are because the email was so simple. There was no design. There was no fancy banner in the email, no fancy photo, no fancy signature. It was just text. That's it. And it was short and sweet and to the point, and like 9 words even. 9-word emails are a thing. You can look it up. That just conveys the most personable approach possible. Question, always include a question. We want to drive curiosity. We want people to take action. And then you're going to launch. So Trust and Will has free email templates. And we also built a campaign with our friends over at Snappy Kraken. If you're familiar with Snappy Kraken, they create some of the best content in the space for financial advisors to market themselves, to engage their clients. I also used to work at Snappy Kraken, so I know I've seen exactly what goes into that, the love and just soul that goes into those campaigns. It's really, really good. I'm actually going to show you here some samples, but let's move on to the email template. So again, this is something you can use, guys. You have a subject line and it asks a question. When should you make an estate plan? And then you have the body of the content, right? Curious about this. Here's the most common life milestones, upcoming travel, moving states, buying a home. If you're paying attention, this was a lot like that social post I showed you earlier with our CEO. That's the point, right? You don't have to like keep reinventing the wheel. You can repurpose and do it across all of these channels that I'm talking about. You've got 2 links at the bottom. If you want to link to your content, like your website, you can do that, or a video you might have made, or if you just want them to book that estate planning clarity visit, which you could also put down at the bottom here. Okay, so now I want to showcase the Trust and Will and Snappy Kraken campaign really quickly. So essentially this is a series of emails. One of them talks about like, what is the power of attorney? What does that really mean? Like it really breaks it down beautifully. And then the other one actually is just this simple email you see over on the right. It's got a little bit of design going on here, and it leads people back to preview the newsletter. So that's the link you see here. I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to hope you can see this here, but this is the actual newsletter. It's an interactive landing page. That's how Snappy builds them. Again, we teamed up on this. So all this content we have taken a look at, we've verified, and essentially it's 13 common missteps that could impact your legacy. People love lists. People love checklists. They love guides. They love interactive guides like this one. These are what perform well. But again, this is just here to really give you inspo. Whether you use us, whether you work with Snappy Kraken, let this guide you as an inspirational point on what your content can look like. Final arrangements, digital assets, that's a big one people forget about. That really matters to millennials as well, charities, etc. So I won't go through the whole thing for purposes of time, but if you get the slides, you'll also be able to click and preview that newsletter. Okay, we're going to move on to tactic number 4, and I'm just keeping pace here with my time, checking out the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. Sounds like most of you are going to save them for the end. That is cool. And let's go over to tactic 4. I'm also going to take a sip of water. I have this massive jug because I'm about to go drive for 9 hours. So this thing is like bigger than my face. Okay, I invite you to take some water as well. All right, I can't see you guys. I do wish I could. I love getting in front of advisors and having a lot of fun with this stuff. Okay, tactic number 4 is meet new prospects with events and stories. So here's the thing. Event marketing is unique. It's not something I would say go try to do it on your own, depending on what your goals are, right? Some of you might be okay with that, but event marketing is about meeting new prospects. It's also about engaging current clients, and that might be two different events. But the main thing here is when you host an event, it is not just to bring people together in a room. It is to educate them and position yourself as that thought leader and someone who tells stories, because people remember stories way more than they remember any piece of information. They remember it in the format of a story. So when you host an event, I encourage you get face-to-face. The in-person events always convert better, but it's okay if you can't do that. You can also do webinars like I'm doing right now. You can still see me. There's still some personal, tone here. And then you could also do a client event just for your clients. estate planning education day, right? So whatever that looks like for you, but do tell stories, and don't start with your own story. Don't start out by saying, I'm so-and-so and these are my credentials and here's why I think this is important. You can say that, just don't do it up front. Some of the best seminars that I've witnessed in my career with advisors and helping them on this front is by starting out with stories on like Prince or Jimi Hendrix or even Joan Rivers, because there's been a lot of crazy stuff that's gone on with their estates, and it grabs attention right away. And then you can kind of get into your own thing. You can educate. Specify. Your marketing has to be uber specific. This is really important, right? You're going to want to include key takeaways. Why should they come? What are they going to learn? What are they going to take away? Make it as tangible as possible. Okay, and then present, of course. I'm actually going to give you some free slides in this deck today. These are coming from our free Estate Planning 101 deck, and you're getting a sampling of it. So if you do end up booking some time with our team, you'll get the full deck, but regardless, you're here. I wanted to give you at least, I think there's about 12 free slides that I've combined for you today that you can present on your own, on your next event, your next webinar, whatever that looks like for you. So the next two slides are a quick sample. This is actually, I Googled estate planning seminar near me, and this is actually run through a company called White Glove. If you're familiar with White Glove, I've also done some work with them in the past, and they have this really is beautifully tuned in, and they know what they're doing. So they have a consumer brand with what you're seeing, and they don't even put the advisor's face front and center. They don't want consumers to think, oh, this is another sales pitch. I've been to plenty of them. We've been telling you, like, attend this seminar and here's what you're going to learn about. I'm going to exit out real quick just to make sure you can see this. So attend this seminar here. About this topic, you're not just talking about estate planning and the legal side, you're talking about taxes as well, tax strategies, right? Before tax, after tax strategies, tax deferred. Those are things that you know as financial advisors. So again, this is about educating. It's sort of like life versus legal. That's really important for you to sort of draw that line there. Wherever decide to go with your service, whether that's we only work with attorneys or we do tech, or maybe it's an intersection of the two, which I highly encourage. Just make sure you're really clear in that when you're educating and presenting. So I love this sample here. I'm going to skip along. This is actually a quick screenshot from the team over at InvestWise. They're also their wealth management firm. This is their slide that they start out their presentation with on estate planning, and it talks about Prince's estate, which you can see here if you're reading through, like $300 million, 3 years of ongoing court, $10 million paid to attorneys, 40% to federal taxes, 16 to state, 0 paid to his heirs and families. And immediately that gets the room pulled in, right? So that's what we want you to do when you host your next event. What are the slides looking like? I'm going to just roll through here quickly because, again, you're going to get all of this. You're just sort of introducing the topic, why it's important, who needs it, what is a will, if you're administering a will, and then as you have your estate plan, like the fiduciary role versus the executor role. We give this to you to educate your clients. We also give it to you to use as a resource as you navigate this service with your client. So it's for you, but it's also for your clients. Right, this beautiful visual, what happens when you die without a will, wills versus trust, when to consider a trust, the different types of trust. So I will leave these all for you in the content. And then we're going to go on to tactic number 5. Now I'm going to share my screen here and make it big in just a second. Okay. All right, I was lagging. You got to love it. You got to appreciate the library here. So hopefully I'm not lagging anymore. I'm so sorry, guys. Definitely did not expect to be at a library in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, giving this webinar today, but life is lifing. So tactic number 5, turn your website into an educational hub. We're going to teach, we're going to attract, connect, and mirror. So what is this about? Your website should have some form of content on it, whether that's your blog or it's a resource center, whatever you want to call it, that breaks down the basics of estate planning. You're also in that blog, in that resource section, you're going to answer questions that people are asking about the topic. And I've actually pulled those for you, the 10 most frequently asked estate planning questions. So you can go and make sure those are on your website and you have a Q&A section. What's going to happen with that is when people are searching online as they are for answers to those frequently asked questions, your website's going to pop up. That's called SEO, that's search engine optimization. Connect. Add your video from the previous tip, the script I gave you. Make sure that's front and center. Remember, there's that call to action there. Everything you do, whether it's email, whether it's social, whether it's your website, must have a call to action. You are in business, and that's important. You're in business to help people, but you also have to help yourself in the process. And then mirroring is just about getting inspo from other advisors on how they use their website as a place of education. I pulled a few samples. I'm going to show you to them in just a second, but I have also these questions for you. So please use these frequently asked questions when deciding how you want to create this sort of educational hub on your website. I love the way BEM Financial does this. They have a sort of a directory service. They have a clear call to action right away, but also a full learning center, trusts, wills, probates. I think that's really awesome. And then Woodson, I like the way that they do this as well because they just come front and center, right? Hey, we work with trust and will. Here's our discounted pricing for you if you want to do this on your own. As I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, we have a new pricing model now, which a lot of advisors are switching over to. It's the more integrated approach. I'll tell you in a second. But they also put it step by step what to expect, which I love. People like to not be surprised. They actually like to understand what they're getting into. And then IntelliCapital does a great job too, because they actually pull in all of our educational videos, which is exciting because you don't have to make videos if you don't want to. It's okay. Now, I always recommend you put yourself on video. It is your company and your brand, but we have videos you can use as well. Okay, so moving along here, you have the top frequently asked questions. You have links to these websites. Now I want to kind of wrap the tactics with success. And I want to make a note about this because the thing about success is it really depends on you. What are your goals? Where are you actually starting from today? It might look different depending on those answers to those questions. But in general, there's some metrics here you can track. I'll keep this really high level. This isn't the fun stuff. This is the boring stuff, but it's important as well. So with social, obviously you should be tracking, you should be thinking about your KPIs, key performance indicators of how many times you're posting. LinkedIn 1 to 2 times a day is pretty average and will get you good engagement. Instagram 3 to 5, Facebook 1 to 2. But you should also over time track if you're growing your audience, right? So if you're getting new followers every day, like how many new followers did you get this week and compared to all of your followers? The average growth rate for financial services is 2.4% on Facebook and 3.78% on Instagram. And then track engagement. Just always look at metrics. All these platforms give you that. If it's going up, you're in a good place. Also, you can track post by post. If something didn't really land, maybe we won't want to use that type of content again. But for the things that did, maybe we lean into that a little bit more. Okay, email. So in the financial services industry, the average email open rate is 41.4%. This is actually really good. This stat surprised me, quite frankly, but it might be a little bit lower if you're engaging with prospects, but if you're creating that curiosity in that subject line, asking that question, putting videos in your emails, those are always going to get better rates. I'll skip through the other stuff and let you read through it, but the most important thing with email is, did you get a reply? If nobody replied to your email, maybe that tells you something. And if they do, make sure you reply back, even if they don't agree with what you said. It's a room for engagement. Okay, video and website. Video engagement really depends. If you're putting in email, your website, social, but again, in general, video posts on social and emails with videos perform better. For the website, on average, financial advisor websites see average time on their site to be 1 minute and 22 seconds. If you can keep people on that educational hub longer than that, you're doing a good job. And you should see about 217 visitors per month. That's average. Now, if you want to beat the average, start to implement some of these tips because you're going to get people there and you're going to help them because they're sort of doing their research on their own time. Okay, the last thing I'll say is with events. And some of this data is coming from our friends over at White Glove because they do such a good job with event marketing. On average, most advisors aim for a 4-to-1 ROI, okay? So every $1 you spend, you get $4 back. With the topic of estate planning, 8-to-1 is more common. When I worked with the team at White Club, what we found every time is that the estate planning seminars perform better than the other seminars, better than the taxes, better than the Social Security. On average, at least 40% of your audience, whether you're doing a webinar or you're doing in person, should book some sort of follow-up meeting with you. And for a prospecting event, on average, 16 to 22 households should be in attendance. That's if you really marketed it well. Again, there's really good partners out there, but you have to be smart with your marketing. It's not just social, it's not email. Go on Eventbrite, post your page there, go to your local chamber of commerce, tell them that you're hosting an estate planning webinar that would benefit business owners in the area. They can share it. I've had advisors tell me that this has happened to them, which is really cool. Even your local hospitals is another good place to sort of insert this topic and have them help promote your event. So these are the metrics. Again, it's really going to depend on where you're coming from. Now, I want to end with this before we move into our Q&A, and I give you the links to get all this content for free. So first things first, why the time is right now. A product or service, this is a quote from Seth Godin, a product or service does not exist without a customer. Marketing is the act of creating a relationship between what you have and between those who need it. Beyond the gaps and opportunities, just because you build it does not mean they're going to come, right? There's a boom going on with the technology in this space. You as financial advisors, more than ever, have the coolest opportunity to actually scale estate planning offering in your business. That is the beauty of what's happening right now. But if you're going to do that, you have to actually market it. People have to know about it, and you need to do that in a fun and educational way. Now, beyond just that fact, is that Trust and Will is an amazing solution to help you do that. Trust and Will is a nationally recognized brand. I've had advisors come up to me and say, hey, my clients saw Trust and Will on TV and they got so excited about it, and they were so excited that we partnered up, and now they're getting their estate plan done. And I've been asking them for years and they haven't moved on their estate plan, right? So there's some national brand recognition going on here. We've helped over 750,000 families. We're significantly less expensive than an attorney. Again, some clients really do need that attorney support. We offer it, but some clients don't necessarily need that. We're working with more than 13,000 advisors. So we've learned a thing or two on how to set you up for success with creating this entire offering. You're going to get more marketing help from us than probably any other tool in the space. And we'll do many more webinars like today's. There's a digital solution here. It's very modern. It's sleek. Your clients can go through at their own pace. They can create documents in all 50 states. Again, they have access to attorneys through our platform. And for advisors, what we've done to help you fully integrate this model is we've introduced what we call seat-based pricing. So per advisor in your firm, you pay one flat fee a year, and then you can sort of dish out the estate plans as you wish, whether that's in your annual reviews or it's an email to your clients. You get up to 100 clients a year to create a plan. You get priority access. We have a support team for you. We have a support team for your clients, and we have an attorney team if they need it. The other option here, because we know not every advisor wants to go all in with the seat-based pricing, and that's okay, is that you can also just have your clients pay. And so this is what our pricing looks like on the retail side, but we still include you in the process. You still get a dashboard. You still get to see what your clients are doing, where they're at in the process, and insights really for you. Like our technology will tell you, hey, based on what this person put in their plan, you should probably talk about this. So really cool personalized insights, regardless of the way that you go here and the way that you approach pricing. The Estate Planning Attorney Network is available for $300 for unlimited support for 1 full year. So this is really exciting as well. Now, we've gotten through the why, right? We've gotten through the timing of this all, the tactics. I want to launch one other poll, because now that we're through sort of the most of the end of the content here, I want to know, like, what is your next step and how can we help? And then in a second, I'm going to showcase a couple of these slides and we're going to pop off with the Q&A. So let me go ahead and launch our next poll and publish. You should see that on your screen. Are you ready to implement and market your estate planning services? How are you feeling about this right now after going through today's content? I'm going to hit submit. All right, the votes are coming in. While they do, I'm going to check the chat and I'm going to move the slide to the very next one. We're going to circle back to that poll in just a second. I want you to all understand what your peers are saying, but I invite you to schedule a strategy demo. This is not just a demo of our platform. This is also learning about you, where you're at with your offering, where we can support you. We can talk about our different pricing models, what might be a best fit for you. But we're also teaching you what other successful advisors with Trust and Will have done. So you can sort of mirror that in your own practice. 2 ways to go about this, guys. You can scan the QR code. Oh, okay. It looks like it wants to have a party about this, but you can scan the QR code on the screen or just type the word demo in the chat, and I'm going to send you a link right now. So you can type the word demo in the chat, and I'm going to send you this link here. You can also scan that QR code. Looks like a lot of you are typing in the chat. I get it. It's just the easiest way. That's why I always put this in here. So I just dropped the link in the chat. If you click that, you can schedule that demo. I'll also email it to you in case you don't want to schedule right now. But go ahead and click the link in the chat to schedule your strategy demo. And then we're going to go back to the poll really quickly. And then I have one other offering for you in case you're not ready to schedule a demo, and that's okay too. So it looks like the poll, 51% of you said yes, you're ready to implement and market. 32% said almost. So around 83% of us are already heading towards yes. This is so exciting because people need you. Your clients need you on this front. There's clearly something is not working in historic models, right? And that is why Trust and Will was born. We're here to innovate. We're here to make this easier and scalable for you. Some of you are still teetering on the I'm not sure yet, and that is okay. So if you're still totally not sure, what I invite you to do is this. You can create a free dashboard on the Trust and Will website. I'm going to actually send you this link. If you also, again, don't feel like clicking anything, you can just type in the chat, but I'm going to send you this quick link here. And this is going to allow you to sign up for a brand new free dashboard. You can play around. You can see how the platform looks. You can take a look at the process. I believe there's even some sample estate plans in there for you to look at to verify like, hey, this is something I could probably make work in my business. So whatever that looks like for you. So some of you are still typing demo. Beautiful. I'll drop that demo link one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and kick off our live Q&A. And I got to say, it's 1:48 Eastern. I'm so impressed that I made this timing work because there was a lot of content today. Okay, so I just dropped that other link in the chat. Now, I'm going to invite on Trust and Will's Andres Mazabel to support us with a chat. Welcome, Andres.
So Diana, that was amazing content. If I was still an advisor, it'd be like taking down notes on like things to start taking action on and start implementing. So super great content.
Thank you so much. And thanks for joining. Obviously I've been following Trust and Will for so long. I'm so excited to partner together and all the work you're doing for advisors. Andres, you're like the front and center of this whole thing. You've worked with countless advisors. So I knew that I knew than I can on the topic.
Yeah,
okay.
and I think some of the sorry, you're actually lagging a little bit, but you're back now. Some of the biggest things that I think we've like really learned is by implementing estate planning, and I love throughout the presentation is like always leading with education. And by leading with education, as an advisor, it helps you lead to open up a conversation that's typically been kind of challenging, right? So how do you help really guide and open up that conversation? And then the feedback that we've gotten from many advisors is that when you go through those conversations, you always walk away learning something about your client, deepening the relationships that you have with your client. And what's been amazing is the firms and the advisors that really implement this actually start to get referrals, start to see and meet with their successor trustee, with beneficiaries. So, overall, outside of just delivering more like a really important service, which is provided that peace of mind, it's really helping advisors maintain and grow their book of business by integrating estate planning in a way that in the past they really weren't really able to before.
I couldn't agree more. I didn't even touch on the topic of referrals. So that's such a good point that you make. This is creating a more referable business. So I love that you talked about that. We do have a few questions coming in, and I knew this one would come in because I didn't talk specifics, but Alex is asking, can you go over the advisor pricing plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, essentially how that works, it's a 4,000 flat fee for the first license. It does depend on the number of advisors at the firm. And that essentially unlocks the ability for you to offer complimentary plans to your book of business, to your clients, usually capped at 100 per year. We've actually never had a firm that has gotten anywhere close to that. But in short, what it really helps you do is provide a service, and it leads you to get your clients to take action, because now they're like, I'm paying Alex XYZ fee per year. This is an additional service. And then the accountability, I think this is the big thing that advisors love, is the visibility that you have as a firm and as an advisor on your client's progress and the follow-up that you can do. And then outside of offering the complimentary plan to your clients, you then have the ability to offer or implement estate planning as part of your annual reviews. Because via the dashboard, you can see Diana just moved to Florida. And if she was my client, I can see Diane hasn't updated the estate plan. So it's an additional proactive reminder that advisors are using with their clients, and it's adding a ton of really good value on that end.
Love that. And we're working on some exclusive content for advisors who join on this pricing model, because again, you're really integrating it even more, and so we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
Paul says, "Can you be the marketing agency for me as one focusing exclusively on estate planning?" We'll have to chat, Paul, about that. But we will give you a lot of good marketing content. He also asked, this is a great question, how does Trust and Will compare with Wealth.com?
Yeah, it's a great question, Paul. So first thing that we always hear from advisors is the brand recognition that we have. So when you're inviting a client, introducing Trust and Will, many clients actually come back and say, "Oh, I've actually seen their commercial. I've seen their advertisement," whatever the case might be. So there's that trust first and foremost. Second, we're super proud on two things. We're the nation's leading partner with financial advisors. We have 13,000 financial advisors. So we are the early adopters, 5 years in the advisor business, coming up on 8 years since we started the company. So we've helped almost 1 million families. And the ability to, partner with an advisor and firm and have that confidence to say, we have helped almost 1 million families. So the member support, the attorney support, the ease of use of the platform is what really helps sets us apart. And then as Diana talked about, advisors do love the flexibility that we have in the pricing. We as a firm understand that RAs have a different way that they're building their services or have budgets, whatever the case might be. So the flexibility is something that advisors do really appreciate about what we do at Trust and Will.
Absolutely.
And then Alex, follow-up question that you asked for the complimentary plans, is that for will plans only or for trust and wills? That's a great clarifying question. It's for both. It's for both will-based plans and trust-based plans. And then keep in mind, they all include your power of attorney, HIP authorization, living will, everything. The full 9 yards is included as part of those.
It's awesome. Okay, and Shannon asked the question, what does this look like from a compliance standpoint with our BD? So Shannon, if you want to respond to that and let us know who your BD is, or Andres, if you just want to add any color there, we've got a lot of relationships in that space.
Yeah. So give you an example. In the last quarter, we actually got approved with LPL Financial, largest, BD nationwide. We have many other relationships. So Paul, we don't currently have an enterprise relationship with Cetera. It is something we're in discussions with. Would actually love your help in championing that. Steve saying from Northwestern Mutual, we do actually have a relationship with Northwestern Mutual. We have about 3,500 advisors at Northwestern Mutual using us, which has been a huge one. Man, all this list is coming up. Shannon, many advisors at Osaic are using us. We're in discussions with leadership on a more formal enterprise agreement, but advisors at Osaic are definitely using us. So I love this whole list coming up on here.
Me too. This is awesome. We still have a few minutes left. If any of you have any last minute questions, Looks like Kel said, what support is provided to put property in the name of the trust?
That's a great question. So we have a whole trust funding guide that helps your clients kind of walk through the process. And then we actually have a partnership with a company called UDeeds that will help do that for your clients. I did it myself on my property in San Diego. Very seamless. They send me the deed, I sign, notarize, send back to them. They do the full recording, execution, title research, the full 9 yards. So it makes it very, very easy for your clients.
Awesome. And what about filing deeds and trust administration? Same thing?
So same thing on the deeds, trust administration. We actually do have, I'm going to plug this in here just so you have it, but trustandwill.com/probates. We do actually have a probate product as well. So definitely schedule a call with us. We have a lot of various different offerings. Obviously our core and main one being the drafting of documents, state specific, but we do complement many of those services around the creation of estate planning documents.
Beautiful. I'm going to grab, for those of you still hanging out right now, I'm going to grab the demo link once more. I know I have the QR code on the screen. Sometimes it's a little easier just to be able to click it from your computer. So if you want to book your strategy demo, I just dropped the link one more time. It looks like we've got some more folks typing, so maybe we've got some other questions coming in. I didn't get a chance to say this, but thanks, guys. Like, thanks for making this hour with me. I know as advisors, you have a lot of other stuff going on. So the fact you're dedicating the time, it shows me you are, you want to level up, and I'm here to help you level up. So that's exciting to me.
And we got 46% of respondents saying, I am ready to implement and market estate planning services. So
Yay.
I love that. We have the resources to help you do that. Also, we have a whole team that helps advisors really help implement and manage and come up with a strategy, learn your business, learn your practice, learn how involved you typically are. So, you know, this isn't a you're on your own, good luck. We're your partner to help you really help execute this as you go through that process.
100%. LPL pricing. Do we have, I think we have that landing page.
Yep, I can put that in here as well. But essentially, for clients that are paying for it, there's a 15% discount. And I just plugged in the landing page for LPL specifically.
And then Paul was
asking for LPL.
About, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, good. I was just going to say, fun fact for APL, it's the fastest launch partnership. I think we've had over 1,100 advisors that have joined our platform in the last 4 months and counting. So this is obviously shown it's a huge need, and it's helping advisors add a ton of value.
I love that. We were just at the LPL Focus Conference, if you were there, and oh my goodness, I mean, we were like swamped. It was crazy. There was just advisor after advisor after advisor. The shift is definitely happening. We're excited to be part of it. So Paul also clarified, I think he was asking maybe about trustee support.
Got it, Paul. So we don't currently, for example, if you're asking like do we provide corporate trustee services? We don't at Trust and Will, but you know, depending on who your BD is, there's usually an approved list of like private trust company or whoever your trustee is on companies that they work with and recommend to be able to include that in for your clients.
Yep. Awesome. All right. We are at the top of the hour. I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you have any last minute questions, speak now. Otherwise, I say this has been such a fun event. Thank you everyone again for coming, for staying the hour. We're going to make sure in our follow-up email, you get the link to my slides, to the replay of the webinar. We'll also include the demo link and the dashboard link if you're just interested in that for now. And I hope to see you on our next session. Again, we'll be bringing more of this type of content to you in the future. Any questions, please reach out to our team. We are always here to chat with you.
Amazing. Thanks everyone for being here, Diana. Thanks for hosting a great session. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Bye.